And here we are.
There you are.
Here we are again. It is just amazing again how I will just continue to say the year is going by faster than any year in recent memory. It is just flying by.
Well, age will do that to you.
Yes, that's right.
We
Yes.
had that conversation this morning. You're a year older than me, so
Yeah.
So you're in trouble.
Yes, it all goes downhill at certain points in time, doesn't it? Yes. So
How are you today?
It's interesting. It's going all right. Well, we are. So first of all, we apologize. We've had some technical glitches. We've been in full transparency. We've been recording some podcasts for them to stream later on Fridays at 11, like we normally do, due to some scheduling conflicts. And there's been some technical difficulties, and I'm not so sure if this isn't Skynet still screwing with me just to get back at everybody, but hopefully we will get those worked out. So when this episode airs, I will be about halfway through my Alaskan adventure. So we'll see. So I'm doing pretty well, getting ready to take off as we're recording this today. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is, man. It's I think I'm doing everything right to set it up, to schedule it, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it always amazes me. It's just like every time, and this is not every time is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I would say at least every other time I go into Google Meet to use it for our coaching calls or or whatever. It's completely different. The interface is different. The buttons are here. I can't find the record button. It's like, it's just simple shit that takes me 5 minutes every time to figure out where it's moved to.
Yeah.
In there. So yeah, no, I totally get it. It's never the same thing twice. See, I do think that is the AI screwing with us with like the software update stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Now that, AI can code anything at any time in the blink of an eye, changes occur overnight. I mean, literally overnight now.
Yeah. And I'm just going to go back to say, I'm just going to step on my soapbox just for a second there. How do we, as logical, rational beings that have IQs over 100, think that's a good idea?
Well,
just saying. I'm just asking the question. Just asking. Now, people like me ask that question, like in what's soon to be a documentary, probably, as opposed to a fictional movie called The Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to leave it right there.
I'm doing this rehab right now, and I have a lot of time to sit and think, and I think about all this technology and stuff that's coming out, and man, I just can't. I don't want to be doom and gloom about it because it is a really exciting thing, but it's like I just can't imagine. I mean, we're already seeing people being let go, like these companies are just reducing their workforce by 20, 30, 50% in some cases. And I don't know, I don't like to get political at all. I just it just seems like this is only going to get worse. Like it's only like and this affects us in real estate too. Like it would be no different than say maybe a different reason. We have a different reason. We have job loss, but I mean this bubble, this real estate bubble we're in right now, it just seems like this is just going to pile on. It's just going to, and I hate to be negative like that. It's just this is not very well thought out. Like we're shooting from the hip here. Like we don't have this under wraps. I mean, so it's just the Wild West out here, man. It really is.
Yes, it's I don't know. We'll have to just see, right? We'll just have to hang on and see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?
Yeah,
but anyway, let's let's move.
On this episode of the Creative Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast, Mr. Kaufman, what is our topic today? Kind of a tactical, strategic one today. What do we have on?
Tactical, strategic, procedural type of podcast today. I'm gonna just start off by saying that, a couple of things. The first one is, I think everybody knows that probate is a highly targeted niche in real estate. Agents are targeting probate deals, investors, wholesalers, and probate in a lot of cases can get really, really chaotic. And so today we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you some examples too, because I'm telling you, I've been through the ringer on some of this stuff, and we just had a didn't we have one of our students? Oh, I'm sorry. That was never mind. That wasn't a probate deal. Sorry. I'm off on the rails here. But I'm going to give you some examples of kind of some nightmare scenarios and how we were actually able to wrangle these things in and actually get these deals done. Probate deals are some of the best deals out there. I mean, they're, a lot of people will say, you'll hear it out there. It's in the Facebook groups. They'll talk about, they get concerned because they don't think they can buy probate deals subject to, or they wonder how they're going to manage the loan that they are paying on if they don't have, if the borrower is deceased. And I would say, personally, from a risk mitigation standpoint, investing in subject to deals, from a risk mitigation standpoint, it is probably the safest type of subject to deal that you can do.
Yep. For sure.
We already know that subject to deals are they're good for an investor because, well, number one, all the rates and everything are the interest rates are usually pretty low, but also they're non-recourse in nature. And what I mean by that is, you don't have your personal name on those loans, and so now you have the original borrower's name on that loan, which is something that you really should. I mean, it's got to be at the top of your list to make that payment. You never want to destroy somebody else's credit. But also, from our standpoint, if we think about the assets that we own, and using an asset that is non-recourse for you, you still have a say if you wanted to go to a bank and you wanted to get a line of credit, or you wanted to well, let's just stick with that. Let's say open up a line of credit with a bank. How good does it look to a lender that you have all of these assets, but you have all of these assets and quite a bit fewer liabilities?
Yep.
Because your name's not showing up on, or I'm sorry, that loan's not showing up on your credit report.
Right. It's not on you're right. It's not on the credit they pull. Right.
So it's twofold. I mean, this is just yet one more reason why subject to deals are just. I mean, I hope they've been around for decades and decades, and we hope they continue to. We hope people continue to act correctly and act right, so that there's no, so they don't, no crazy actions are taken.
Yes. Can we? Yeah. Can we pause there with the crazy actions, and can we insert, because you mentioned wholesalers, can we insert here, at least because we're in Missouri, we're in the St. Louis metro area, and so here in Missouri, awaiting right now, it's not law yet, but awaiting right now, right, is House Bill 2517, which is the, we'll just refer to it as the wholesaling law here in Missouri, which could change wholesaling in a way, because it's going to require disclosure to the sellers from the wholesalers. The wholesalers must disclose to the sellers that they're going to assign that contract.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. It requires disclosure. When and where presumably you have to give 14 calendar day notice before you can enter into a purchase agreement with them.
Yeah.
Well, just think about how many savvy Sub2 investors or whatever might get the thing under contract 14 days. Anyway, the only reason this is happening is because people don't do shit like they say they're going to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're not being honest and open. That's why this law is being passed. And it's not just here in Missouri. This is mild compared to some we've seen around the country.
Oh, yeah. Ohio.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like crazy proposed laws that didn't make it. didn't appear. But still, just to be proposing stuff like that is, when you're a real estate investor, can we just say, pro tip, be honest about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and protect yourself. Cover your assets. Cover the assets of the seller too, not just yours in the paperwork. That's especially when we're doing Sub2 deals. Like we talk about this all the time. The Sub2 paperwork is very important because it protects the seller and you. Of course, first and foremost, us as the investor. But it also has documents in there that protect the seller and explain very clearly what's happening and why.
Yeah, and I don't see the reason why you wouldn't do that anyway. I mean, there was a guy here. He's a good friend of mine. I mean, excellent wholesaler. Guy does these bang up deals, man. I mean, he's really, really good. And I attribute that to him. I actually watched him work one time. I competed against him on a property one time, and this was right down from a rehab I was doing. I put a sign in the yard and had a guy walk up to the house, say, "Hey, I've got this house down here." Anyway, long story short, my buddy ended up getting that house. I made an offer on it, and then I found out like the next day that my buddy made an offer on that too. We didn't know. We had no idea. You know, the guy had just called. The homeowner had called a couple people, but I was talking to him, and I said, "You know, how'd you get that deal?" You know, I made this guy a pretty solid offer, and he said, I told him exactly what I was going to do. I was going to flip it. I was going to, meaning he was going to flip the paper. So he told him, like, you know, mind if I bring people through here? You know, I'd like to, I've got end buyers. And he was just really honest with the guy. And, you know, I didn't feel the need at the time to tell the homeowner that that's what I was going to do. And I, quite honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do with that property.
Right.
But, and it dawned on me, it's like, yeah, why aren't these people out here just doing this? I don't understand. Instead, you know, we've got this, everyone's so super secretive about it. And they, you know, they pose as they're going to be a, you know, the end buyer. And it just doesn't, there's no integrity in it. And this is the result of not having integrity is laws popping up all over the country. And it's here now. And actually I'm pretty, you know, I'm not real big on government and creating all these laws. I mean, we could fill a stadium with all the laws that we have on the books now. But
yeah, stupid laws too. Yes, but this one's not so stupid. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah,
if it can be enforced, I mean, there's, you know, Illinois got one of the most draconian wholesale laws in the country, and I know people over there wholesaling properties left and right.
Yeah, nobody's enforcing it. That's true.
So, but yeah, I mean, this is actually, if it's enforceable, if they can, you know, if they can keep it front and center, or at least, you know, just make it enforceable. And I don't know how they're going to do that, by the way. But if they can do that, this is going to weed out a lot of the turds that are.
Yes, it will.
I mean, it can, and it's a good thing. And essentially, it's a real simple law. It's really simple. Disclose.
Yes, it's very straightforward. Yeah.
If you plan on flipping a contract, just disclose it. If not, then you're the end buyer. If you don't disclose it, you're the end buyer. You have to close on it, which now means that, you know, you have to have the intent. You have the intent on closing. You have the capital to close on it.
Yep.
And there's nothing in this law that says anything about back-to-back closings.
Yeah, you can double close, right?
Yeah, so
it might be some transactional money to double close. So we might see transactional money be more in vogue, right?
Yeah, you know, and that's probably the one thing that I don't like about it. It does, it is, people are going to incur costs for transactional money, but it's a to me it's a little bit of insurance. It's the price to pay for having good solid wholesalers. Like a good solid a base of wholesalers that are doing the right thing. So
Yeah.
I'm not too mad about it.
Yeah, the other thing, not to get off our, we'll get back to the probate too, because again, this ties with probate because wholesalers go after probate hard,
Hmm.
is there's nothing here that would prevent you from actually novating it. In other words, replacing somebody on the purchase agreement, not assigning it,
Yeah.
but replacing yourself, replacing with the end buyer on the purchase agreement, right?
Yep.
So novations might actually become more of a thing, which is what really you should be doing anyway, especially if it's a sub-2 deal. You should be novating as opposed to assigning.
Yeah.
So just throw that. And again, there's another podcast episode. Maybe we ought to get back into the novate. If the governor actually signs this, it'll probably go into force, August 1st usually. So we'll see. Yeah.
I think it's July maybe it is August 1st. I don't know.
Yeah, so somewhere around there, like the end of the summer, they typically go in force. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess for those of you that don't have these laws yet, our little bit of advice here would be to keep abreast of it. Keep an eyeball on that type of stuff, and quite honestly, we could eliminate all this if nobody just stops. If people just stop doing these bad deals with these wholesalers,
stupid shit, taking advantage of people.
Yeah,
right.
just act right. Just straighten up and act right. That's all. All right, let's hop back in here.
Okay, back to the probate logistics for today too. So, all right, so we talked about, you mentioned in there why probate is so good, especially for sub-2. Like probate can be very sub-2. A lot of probate deals, though, you didn't mention this, just to stick with the creative financing. A lot of probate deals, they're free and clear. Mm-hmm. Like, so what happens? Your parents live in a house for 30 years, it's paid off, right? They pass away and it goes to the kids, mm-hmm. right? The children inherit the property. Free and clear. The property's free and clear. They don't want to have anything to do with it, so they just sell it. Well, they can sell or finance it to you, right? It doesn't necessarily have to, but maybe it has a mortgage, maybe it doesn't. So,
yeah. I do want to talk a little bit about probate itself, because just to clear a couple things up, it's not a big deal, but in probate, through that process, by the way, probate, I don't even necessarily I like to call it inherited, because a lot of people have these properties in a trust. But if they're not in a trust, and whether they are intestate or not intestate, these properties if they're not in a trust, they have to go through probate, whether the person has a will or not. They have to. It must go. Now, if they have a will, it makes the probate process really, really simple, really easy. It kind of just glides through. They just kind of rubber stamp it through the courts, and they will appoint a personal representative. Now, in the case of when someone has the property in a will, the personal representative is known as the executor. So what I'm trying to do is define what the difference is between an executor and a court-appointed individual who is called the administrator. So you have the executor and the administrator. Once those two people are assigned, they become the personal representative. Once one of those two folks are assigned through the courts, and like I say, if it's not in a will, if the property's not in a will, it must go through this process. So I bring all this up because marketing for these deals, a lot of people only market for probate. Because that's public knowledge. What you can do to expand on that is actually include the properties that are in a trust as well, because and how you find that out, there is a what's the recording where they record death certificates. I forgot what they call it right now. I'm zoning on it.
The obituaries?
Well, yeah, you can do obituary. But obituaries is actually a really good place to start because a lot of those folks, like I said, they have a property in a trust. Well, people are missing a whole, just a huge opportunity right there by only targeting the probates, the ones that go through the court. And obituaries is a really great place to start looking. And it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but I'll tell you, and I don't know, I couldn't give you a percentage. Only a certain percentage of the folks that show up in the obituaries are going to go through probate. A lot of people have had estate planning all taken care of prior to death, and so I'm just saying, targeting obituaries where a property's in a trust is another really great way to kind of, I guess, supplement the actual ones going through probate.
And just to make clear, when you're approaching this, or you're sending your direct mail, or however you're contacting, you need to contact, like if it's in the trust, you need to contact the trustee of the trust, or you need to contact the executor, the assigned executor by the court. That's who you need to contact about the disposition of the property, not the heirs.
That's right. And that stuff is that information is if it goes through the courts, that information is public knowledge.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to be sending mail necessarily to the property. You want to find, like you're saying, you want to find the personal representative and send mail to that individual. And that can take a little bit of time, but a lot of times, even in those cases, in those court cases, they'll actually have the mailing address of the personal representative right there for you. So
yes, it's on the docket. Yeah, you just have to look.
Right.
And we have a good system here in Missouri. Not every state. I mean, every state has a system, some better than others. Ours is called CaseNet, that we use to look that information up. So
yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way because there's a lot of folks get that mixed up and they don't know, they don't know what that order is or what that process looks like when it goes through probate. So, all right. So let's say let's just move down the path here a little bit. You've got a potential deal. Your personal representative is giving you a call. However, you're marketing to those folks. The personal representative's giving you a call. What's next here? What happens next?
Now you need to go see the house.
Well, you do, but you also need to verify that they are in fact the personal representative.
Oh, yes. You have to make sure, because when you get ready to do the purchase agreement, right? When you get to that point, you have to make sure that it's the right person signing the agreement.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about that for just 1 second too, because the purchase agreement. Now, I've seen this done both ways, and I don't think either way is wrong. But the purchase agreement is actually signed. It's signed by the personal representative, but you're still contracting with the decedent. You're still contracting. So it's an agreement between your company and whatever the decedent's name is.
Yeah. Or their estate. Yes.
Their estate. Yeah.
Their estate. Yeah.
That's a good point. It can be them, their estate. Especially if it's a probate.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's what an estate is. It's what the court calls all of their all their collective belongings. It's their
that's
their
left,
estate.
right? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just to be, as far as the purchase agreement goes, you would if it's a probate deal, you would be contracting with the estate. The estate would be the seller, and then the signer on that's going to be the personal representative. I've also seen it though where the personal representative is listed as the seller, and I haven't had problems with either one of those. I haven't heard of any problems with either one of those. Even if it is a problem, it's just a simple clerical fix. But so just to be clear, you're contracting with the estate on a probate deal. And that's my preferred way to do it.
Yes, and then you just need to make sure the signature enforcing that is whoever is in charge of the estate. The executor, the personal representative assigned, the executor. If it's in a straight trust, then it's the trustee of the trust.
Right.
Easy to find. And usually those trusts, let's talk about this for a second. Usually those trusts are living trusts, especially if they have some kind of estate planning thing. It's probably not a straight land trust. So
Right.
you're probably so those savvy Sub2 Empire followers out there are probably thinking, well, shit, if it's in a trust, I can just do my deal inside the trust and
Right.
take beneficial ownership of the trust. Yes, if it's a land trust. No, if it's a living trust.
That's
So
right.
just be aware of that.
Yeah, because usually in a living trust, as soon as the individual passes away, that trust is dissolved. Once the assets in the trust are distributed and everything, usually that's dissolved. So,
Yep.
All right. Next up, so we've got.
So
We're
so
going
why don't you? Well, this might be a good time for like case study nightmare that you've been through with the with like we'll call them the squabbling siblings of the heirs or whatever.
Yeah, I actually got a call. This was, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. This one sticks out to me because it was very chaotic. I mean, it was probably one of the worst probate deals that we ever did. I got a call from a wholesaler who was ready to just give me this property. Like, he's like, these people, what we have is this individual passed away in the property, and they had five siblings in 5 different states. And we actually dealt with, well, I'll tell you that later. We actually dealt with some more shenanigans even after we closed. So this is literally like herding cats. These people, and none of them got along, none of them. And it was at a point where the property had several liens on it. But I did recognize the value here. If I could get all of these folks together and close this deal, the day after closing, or well, upon closing, I had probably $100K in equity on this deal right off the bat. And so I just,
even with all the liens,
yeah. I mean, on top of this, there was a second position lien on this property that was given by the homeowner who passed away. Gave a note to his ex-wife for like $20,000 or something like that. Well, she was down in Florida, and we found out that she had passed away also, but she remarried, right? So she's the widower is now in a nursing home. And so, I mean, we had to hire a private investigator to go find this guy. We had to wrangle all of these different people. And by the way, they're all in different states, like five different heirs in different states. And they were squabbling back and forth. And really, the only way we got this done was, just pure tenacity.
Yep.
I mean, that's all there was to it. It was just a lot of work. We ended up hiring an attorney who was able to. We basically got a judgment for that lien because the guy down in Florida didn't respond to our request. So we did a quiet title suit on this property. You can see where this is going. I mean, this is just like so much chaos and so many moving parts. But lo and behold, it took us about 2 months. The wholesaler at this point just threw up his hands, like, I can't deal with this. It's taking up too much of my time. And so I ended up picking up this property that we got the quiet title judgment on it. So that wiped that $20,000 out. Ended up picking up this property for like $16,000. And I still own that property today. It's in our rental portfolio. And this thing is, I mean, it's only a $130,000 home.
Yeah.
But this thing cash flows like I want to say it's somewhere, because we own it free and clear now at this point. But this thing, I think we're renting that thing. It's a little 2-bedroom brick home, and I think we're renting it right now for like $1,600 a month. And so my point, I guess I'll get down to brass tacks, is it's kind of just a testament to the harder that the tough things that people don't want to do. If you, and this would be one of those things, a lot of people would just throw their hands up, but I love these types of deals. I just love I don't know, I just love kind of the creative side of things, making things happen that a lot of other people are afraid to do, or just maybe they don't know how to do it. But the point is, that thing is an asset for us now, and we own it free and clear. It's a great property, and it just takes tenacity and persistence.
Oh, that's kind of a worst case scenario. Most probate deals are not that extreme.
That is true.
But you can have squabbling siblings we can take. And let's just forget, let's just take a scenario. Let's say the house is free and clear, and there's three children that inherited the property. Well, they all want different things. One of them wants, let's just, for easy math, let's just say there's $90,000 of equity. So the house was to be sold, it would be a $30,000 potentially, right? Just in rough numbers, $30,000 to each of the three.
Mm-hmm.
You can treat them differently. Maybe this is an excellent opportunity for you to go in your toolbox of creative financing and explain, hey, I'd love for you to seller finance that because this is how much you can make. Like, I'm going to make the monthly payments to you, or we'll set up a trust and then we'll distribute it out to you, or however you want to do that. Like a land trust, by the way. Sorry, we've been tossing trust around a lot. A land trust, just for the purposes of holding that property. And you can do that. But let's say one of them wants just to cash out and be done. Well, okay, maybe you give them the $30,000 and walk away. Maybe the other two are fine with payments, and so you create a note to pay them back over time. Like, you can do all kinds of creative things in there, but you got to make sure, you got to be a little careful though, because you have to make sure everybody is giving up. So if you pay the one off to walk away, they should quit claim their interest over, right, to the other, so that they're gone from the situation entirely forevermore. So you got to be a little careful about how you do things like that, but you can treat them differently. You can set different things up, especially if you do it inside the umbrella of a land trust. You can do all kinds of different things with the beneficial ownership there. Not to get overly complicated, but I'm just saying, there's all kinds of possibilities,
for sure,
especially with probate deals.
So it's a really good point. Another thing you want to look out for in these scenarios where you have heirs that are maybe squabbling and arguing back and forth is the legal aspect of partitioning. It is possible for, let's say that two parties, two of the heirs can't come to an agreement, and one wants, they don't want to sell the property, the other one wants to sell the property. What they can do legally is they can partition their share out of that property, right? So and that can be a real legal nightmare later down the road. I've only run across that one time, where that has happened one time, and it was we ended up not getting this deal because one of the parties was just dug in. She did not want to sell the property. So they actually partitioned off this part of the state, and that I don't know what you would call that, the partitioner,
yes, yep.
Was actually able to sell off her portion. I'm not sure how they went about doing that, but it was just two sisters that were squabbling and couldn't come to an agreement, and that really, I think, that can really make for a legal nightmare.
Yes, because what you just did, right? Everybody's heard of right, timeshares and fractional ownership. That's really what you just did there with a single family property, is you fractioned it. So now the ownership has been fractioned off legally into the different components. So so now you have to deal with each fraction separately.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a simple way to deal with it, but it was something, especially at the time when it happened to me. I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do. So unfortunately, that deal slipped through our fingers. But all right, what's up next here? Let me look at my notes here real quick.
Well, the other thing too, we would say about probate, because you had mentioned in your very complicated situation, you had to get a private detective, you needed an attorney at a certain point in time too. So the deal might be so, and sometimes the probate deal is not such that maybe it's not worth my time to do that. So you have to weigh those things first of all. But $100,000 of equity sounds like it's probably worth a little bit of my time, right?
Yeah.
To figure it out like that deal was for you. And now it's still been cash flowing years later, free and clear.
Yeah.
So that type of situation that you can set yourself up in the future is it might be worth a little time and effort up front to figure out what's going on there. And remember, pro tip, like we always try to say this, you got to solve the problems for the heirs. What's the problem with the heirs? I mean, they could be squabbling and they could want different things. How can you solve that problem? That's what we were just talking about. Like you can offer different options and solutions in different ways or whatever. Figure out how to get them on the same page, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very easy when you give them an amortization table about being the bank. Sometimes it's very easy to convince people, like, because they're just going to get some monthly cash flow from that, right? And say, hey, that might be better. That might be a better deal than getting the cash up front for you, even though it might not be taxable depending on the situation of the house. Like, state tax, like who knows what the exact tax situation is, but maybe that's preferable. You just have to do some education and stick with it.
For sure.
But you have to get to the heirs through if it's in a trust, through the trustee or through the executor or the named personal representative from the court. That's your first step. Always don't forget that. You got to go to the right person first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah. The way we ended up doing on that particular deal I was telling you about, other than dealing with the individual down in Florida, that was a separate thing. We had our attorney just draft up. The objective here was to make it stupid simple for these folks. They weren't squabbling so much, but they definitely had different ideas, and they ultimately came to the consensus just through conversations that we had with them that this is the best path forward. And so we ended up drawing up all the paperwork. We sent out mobile notaries to every single 5 different mobile notaries in 5 different states. And we had them sign the documents in front of a mobile notary, and we just made it super, super simple for them. Even after all of that expense, I'm talking mobile notaries, the attorney for drafting up our what essentially came out to be quitclaim. They quitclaim their interest in the estate, hiring the attorney for the quiet title suit and the private investigator. That all came out to $16,000.
Nice.
And so this property that's $16,000 is what we paid for this property, and they didn't want anything further, outside of that. So it all worked out. It's just a lot of work.
Yep. And also too, we would say when you're especially dealing with probate properties, because the heirs, as you say, are oftentimes out of state, and they don't know that there could be a sewer lien on the property, or there might be a mechanics lien on the property. So always be sure you have the title company or an attorney, depending on where you are, if the closing agent, do a very complete title search so there's no surprises.
Yeah. And on that one, we didn't know. I mean, we took a chance. We didn't know because there was that $20,000 second, or that's $20,000 note that was secured against that property. We didn't know if we would win that quiet title. We had no idea. We didn't know if we would get the judgment. But even with that $20,000 judgment, if we were not awarded that, I just said it. I'm zoning again. If we still had to pay that, we knew it was still going to be a good deal. It didn't really matter. It was just kind of icing on the cake that we won.
And then let's talk about, so now we're talking about, now you've got the property, right? You got it under contract. You've even closed on it. And so let's just remind them of our disposition. So the Sub2 Empire disposition model is to turn around and seller finance that to your end buyer,
Yeah.
right? Agreement for deed, maybe you do a wrap mortgage or whatever. But again, to be transparent, if you have that idea in mind, tell them that up front,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't let that be a surprise later,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you can get them to take a note back to you, and then you're gonna wrap that, or you're gonna do an agreement for deed. So just letting that we
Yeah.
don't want to
That
gloss
one
over
we
the
did
disposition to.
that one we did not we did not seller finance. It wasn't in the best area. That it was just one of those things where it probably is a better rental than a seller finance deal, but I don't know. In fact, it's actually we did Section 8 in this area.
Guaranteed money.
But I do want to talk about just briefly about one particular, maybe not tactical, but an issue that can arise when you buy a probate deal and you buy it subject to, and that is your access to the lender. The borrower is passed away, and the access that you don't have, even if you had a third party authorization or um, dude, help me out here. What
Power of attorney.
power of attorney? Thank you. Wow. I told you I didn't sleep well last night.
That's right. You did say it was a little dicey. That's right.
But even if you have a power of attorney, as soon as that individual passes away, that power of attorney is null and void. It no
Right.
longer.
Right.
So now that's not to say that power of attorney couldn't be sent to the lender prior to death, and it would probably still be, provided that the lender doesn't know yet that the individual, the borrower, has passed away. So you might have limited access to the lender on this, but you will lose access once that lender is notified that the borrower has passed away. You will lose access, and so you have to be ready for that, because that's the one major problem with probate deals and subject to, is that and this is why we always recommend. In fact, it's a requirement. You have to get online access to the lender's portal. You have to. There's just no other way to do it. You can't call them up anymore at this point. You cannot. You can't. They won't speak with you. You're not the borrower. They will not speak with you. So, getting online access in these deals is paramount. It's got to be right at the top of the list of, if you're going to do this deal. I mean, it's either that, or you're gonna have to do it by mail, by snail mail. You're going to have to correspond, and even then, you're going to get probably turned away. I mean, it's
Yeah.
So,
or you might get lucky. It might be a local lender, and you can actually go into the bank and talk to somebody. But you're going to be out of luck. Shit. There's like this fortress wall that goes up around the estate when someone passes away. Like we just experienced this with my wife's dad. Like it is, you have got to have the right keys to access that fortress. I am telling you right now, you are exactly right. So you have to figure out a way to overcome that.
Yeah. So just expect that. I mean, it's you're not gonna be able to get around it. There's nothing that you can say short of committing fraud.
Yeah, you get on the slide, right?
Sending a letter as the borrower or something like that. Don't even mess with it. Just stay above board, and if you have online access, that's your lifeline to that loan. If you do not, you are going to be. I mean, you can still continue to make payments. You can. You're not even going to be able to make a change of address.
Yeah, you can't change anything.
Now, what you can't, that's correct. I mean, even if you called them, there's no way they're not going to change the forwarding address to your address now. One thing that you can do, though, in that situation is if you really have a problem, and you have the personal representative's contact info, you can go through that personal representative. They will speak with the personal representative.
Yeah, because the court ordered it, so you can, and they might be able to get you to get online access that they can then allow you to do, right?
Yep, that's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
And that just has to be a part of the deal. They have to agree to do that. And then if in the future, sometime, maybe, I don't know, you have to contact the lender for something, you're going to go through the personal representative. And again, that's something you just want to let them know up front, like, hey, I might need your help with this at a later date. Would you be willing to help me out if I have a question about or I need to speak with this lender?
And can we pause there? This is very good, because I just want to say a couple of things about when someone dies and the loan is still out there, right? What does that actually mean? Well, the heirs can take over the payments. In other words, the heirs can now legally assume that loan. Mm-hmm. Right? So that is a situation where the heirs can take over the payments. And let's just say for a second that you agree to do the Sub2 deal and you're going to start making the monthly payments and all that, but you can't go in there and change anything online. Maybe they gave you an actual physical mortgage statement so that you know where you can send the payment. But a lot of times what happens is there's the ACH that's set up to the decedent's bank account, which may or may not still be active. And you can't change that until the heirs close or the executor of the will closes the bank account. Mm-hmm. You can't do anything. So you got to be careful, and then you can't see if it's been double paid or anything like that. So you just got to be a little careful and be aware of some of those, like you said, very logistical, detail-oriented things. And making an extra payment is not a life or death thing. But if you agree to take it over, and the payment's coming out of the bank account of the decedent, I mean, technically that could be viewed as fraud, mm-hmm. right? So you just want to be a little careful with stuff like that. And it's not anybody's fault necessarily, but you just didn't think, oh, well, hell, that it's still coming out of his bank account. Is his bank account good? Like, I didn't even think about that. So
yeah, good point. In short, just do the heavy lifting up front. Mm-hmm. Make sure everything is. Just be careful about. You just don't want to lock yourself out of communications with the lender in any, well, I'm not going to say in any way, but you want to have a line of communications, and the best way to do that is going to be through the web portal.
Yep. Now, also too, just because we did insurance, right? We just talked about property insurance too. Property insurance stays in place and enforced, but assuming it was paid, right? Or it's usually escrowed if it's a Sub2 deal. So even though the policy, the named insured probably was just the decedent, mm-hmm. it stays in place until told otherwise by the executor or the heirs or the legal representative, right? That insurance policy stays in place. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And you're going to want, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but you're going to want a new policy on that anyway. So yeah,
if you're taking it, absolutely. So that will take care of the insurance, but up until that point, it's still enforced and in place. So
Yep. What are we missing here?
I think that's it. I think maybe we kind of were a little bit all over the place, but just to bring it back around, right? Probates are great deals. You got to stick with them. And as you said, the harder the deal, the less competition there is to get that deal. So just keep that in mind.
Usually the greater the payday. Yeah. And subject to deals, as far as probates being subject to, they're some of the best. And just to reiterate here, they're non-recourse. Subject to is non-recourse in nature, and then you stack on the fact that you no longer have a living borrower. I know this sounds a little macabre, but nobody gets hurt if something were to happen to you, and those payments are not being made. Nobody's harmed there. Everyone's made whole. The bank takes the property back, all that good stuff. So they're really, really good deals. They can be extremely profitable, and I think. And by the way, this sounds so terrible, but people are dying every day. So I mean, there's these situations exist every day. So
yes, but last time I checked, and this is not to sound morbid, but the last time I checked, Father Time is undefeated.
That's right. Batting 1,000.
Yep.
Batting 1,000.
Yep. So that's just part of life. Death is part of life.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
Other than that, just like we got probate as part of our marketing classes that we've talked about before. So feel free to go in there and grab that for pennies on the dollar or whatever we sell it for. I don't even know. It's dirt cheap. Just some of those marketing courses in there too. So go check that out. And then if you want, partner with us. That's what we do.
That's right. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you. Actually, we won't have a podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be off for a week, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks for after this one airs, I think. Yep.
Right on.